What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out to Cody Stocking for altogether donating to the channel $12.50 via the PayPal. He says, "Yo, Too Raw, I got recommended your channel in the algorithms. I enjoy both of your channels, so I am compelled to give a little. You gotta be working hard. You're putting up lots of content. Have you ever done a video on the NFL being rigged? Do you think it is?" Well, much respect to you, Cody, for showing love to this channel. Um, I'm glad I'm getting a lot of new subscribers. Um, I've been putting out a lot of content, man, because I really want not just my voice, but all of our voices, because all the brothers in the LDBC, we are working hard to try to get an alternative voice or opinion out there. As most of us know, maybe some people don't know this. The mainstream media have altered things so that smaller content creators, our voices, are silent, and or at least smaller than it once was. So to combat that, you have to put out a lot of content. You have to do it, and that's why I've increased my output, and I've also, you got to abide by certain things with YouTube. The older me, well, the younger me, kind of said some things that you can't quite say on here anymore. So I'm a little bit more disciplined than I used to be, but I'm still I still have the same views, I still have the same values, and what I'm saying? So that's why I'm putting out a lot of content. But much respect to you, Cody. Hope you enjoy this content. Hope you continue to enjoy the content. Not always going to agree with everything, but much respect to you for showing love. And to anybody that want to show love to this channel, you can do so in the links in the description box below via the PayPal or the Cash App, or in the pinned comment in the comments section below. Now, have I ever talked about this? Well, yes and no. After the Patriots have won some games, in my rants, I have alluded to my belief that some of these games are not all on the up and up. Now, is the NFL rigged? In my opinion? Well, you have to look at it like this. And I think a lot of young people don't think about it. The NFL is entertainment, right? It's entertainment. But it's also a business. Excuse me. It's also a business that in the last several years has earned revenues of over $4 billion a year. We're talking big fucking business, right? And Roger Goodell, the commissioner, is a businessman. As a matter of fact, a lot of the recent commissioners, when it comes to the main sports, have been businessmen. That's not by accident. That's not by accident. To me, the number one thing is to try to make these leagues as profitable as possible. That's why when you turn on the television, um, when you look at the news, when you look at these outlets that have contracts with these sports entities, who are they always talking about? They're not talking about the Chargers. They're not talking about the Lions. They're talking about the Cowboys, formerly the Patriots, the Buccaneers, at least until Tom Brady retires. You know, the Chiefs. They talk about the teams that are winning and the teams that have the largest fan base. Same thing goes with the NBA to a lesser extent because it's not as popular as a sport as it once was. Same thing with Major League Baseball. So when you think about it, these leagues they're going to have a vested interest in trying to feature their most profitable teams and players for as long as possible. So, to me, yeah, there is a case to say that the NFL is rigged. When I was growing up, right, the Super Bowl winner usually had one of the most difficult schedules in the regular season the following year. That's not the case anymore. I remember reading uh, about 15, 20 years ago, I was looking at the Indianapolis Colts when I was following football a little bit more deeply. I remember looking at the Indianapolis Colts schedule and saying to myself, man, this is one of the easiest goddamn schedules that I've ever seen. How can they not go 14-2? Which they did go, but they had an easy schedule. Contrast that to maybe a team like the Chargers, who at that time was a middling team, maybe 7-9, and you can see why. Because their schedule was more difficult than the Super Bowl winner. Now, there have been years where the Patriots have had easier regular season schedules than some teams that are considered inferior. So you're ensuring that the Patriots are going to have a great record. Never mind the fact that they already were in a very weak division, with the Bills having fallen off and the Jets, for the most part, except for their little stretch in the late 2000s when they got good, but they still weren't a match for the Patriots. The Dolphins, even though historically they have had the Patriots number, but still they weren't a threat. So yeah, there's that. Then there's this. When you look at the playoffs, every year there's almost always these weird, especially in the Tom Brady era, which is why I've always targeted him a little bit. You know, there's always these weird moments when the Patriots or Buccaneers are playing. There's always these head scratching non calls. Um, one team is usually the opposition to either the Patriots or the Buccaneers. They get a lot of penalties, that add up over time. Um, you know, and the thing that really strikes you is it seems like these teams, right, who for the entire year in the first part of the playoffs, they are these well-oiled offensive machines. Suddenly against the Patriots or the Buccaneers, they forget how to play football. You know what I'm saying? Like the quarterback forgets how to throw. This guy who's been a professional, who's played, 9, 10 seasons in the NFL, he's been in these situations literally 100 times. All of a sudden, looks like he's back as a little kid in Pee Wee football, and he just can't connect with any receivers. He's throwing the ball out of bounds. Um, Guys forget how to run their routes. Shit like that. It just you go like, well, what the hell is going on here? So then somebody will say, well, it's the pressure. It's the pressure of the moment. I'm like, wait a minute. These guys fucking went to the Super Bowl last year. Now all of a sudden against the Patriots, they just forgot how to play football. It's things like that that make fans suspicious. I guess to make a long story short, yeah, I do think the NFL is rigged. I think the NBA is somewhat rigged. I think what happens in the NBA, the officials will try sometimes to influence the outcome of games. Now, sometimes these things don't work. Sometimes the other team wins. I mean, you can't be so blatantly obvious with it to the point where everybody goes, hey, what the fuck is this? You know, the most blatantly rigged game that I ever seen, and even many Laker fans will admit, if you really press them, that game was rigged, was Game 6 of the 2002 Western Conference Finals, between the Sacramento Kings and the Los Angeles Lakers. To me, that was the most rigged game. Whatever, was that the Western Conference Finals or was that the semis? I can't recall whether it was the semis. I forget. But anyway, it was either the semis or the conference finals. And that game, to me, was the most rigged game I've ever seen in my life. It was so obvious, so blatantly obvious. You know, the officials were doing their best to get guys like Chris Webber. I can't think of the guy's name, man. The backup power forward, Pollard, Scott Pollard, I think it was. Funderburk. They were doing everything they could to get these guys in foul trouble. Shaq was allowed to consistently throughout the game commit lane violations. He was stepping over the line as far as shooting free throws, which made it easier for him. That particular night, I think he went 13 and 19 from the line, which for Shaq is like Rick Barry like. So many non-calls for the Lakers, so many excessive fouls for the Sacramento Kings. Um, I mean, the call at the end the call at the end of that game when Kobe Bryant elbowed Mike Bibby in the face and they called a foul on Mike Bibby. That's when I was like, that's when I became officially at the time a Laker hater because I said, you know what, this is bullshit. Let these guys fucking beat this team on the fucking floor, please. Don't just give these guys a fucking title. Now it can be said that the Kings still had another chance to win it, and they blew it in Game 7. In particular, Peja Stojakovic, who shot like, you know, absolute garbage. But still, yeah, at the end of the day, I do believe that some of these games are rigged. Um, now, I'm not going to mention any particular games, but I do believe, yes, if you just go back and look at certain moments, certain sequences, you know, all you have to do is just be a fan and just watch the sport for a while. If you're younger, teenager, you might not see it yet. But over time, if you watch sports, you'll begin to see it if you're looking for it. If you're looking for it and you have common sense, you'll begin to see some inconsistencies. Now, you could say it's human error with the referees. I get all of that. But these refs supposedly are very, you know, they're very good at what they do. And it's too, to me, it's too, uh, it just doesn't make sense that every postseason or so, there's a particular game where the refs just look like rookies. They look like they are in need of glasses. They're missing calls that are right in front of them, unless they were instructed not to call certain things. You get what I'm going with that? And there's always when you suspect that a game might be rigged, there's always this overzealous referee that is calling shit not in his vicinity, uh, overstepping other officials. When you start seeing shit like that, that could be a sign that the game may not be totally on the up and up. So that's all I got to say on that. In conclusion, yeah, I think the NFL, most definitely is rigged. Yeah, that's just my opinion. Tell me what you guys think.